1. When preparing learners for the Canadian Adult Achievement Test, CAAT, which instructional strategy best aligns with adult learning principles? A. Rote memorization of test items. B. Providing real-life applications of test content. C. Solely using lecture-based instruction. D. Requiring standardized note-taking formats. 2. A facilitator designs a curriculum to prepare learners for the CAAT. Which principle ensures alignment with adult learners' intrinsic motivation? A. Mandating identical learning paths for all. B. Encouraging learner-driven goal setting. C. Limiting flexibility in pacing. D. Focusing exclusively on test scores. 3. In evaluating CAAT preparation progress, which formative assessment best supports learner self-reflection? A. A timed multiple-choice exam. B. A checklist of memorized vocabulary. C. Guided journaling about learning strategies. D. Randomized peer questioning. 4. Which mentoring approach most effectively supports adult learners struggling with CAAT reading comprehension? A. Direct correction of errors without explanation. B. Modeling strategies for critical reading and then scaffolding practice. C. Assigning additional timed reading drills without feedback. D. Encouraging reliance on answer keys only. 5. In CAAT preparation, which instructional method best aligns with curriculum development principles emphasizing contextual learning? A. Teaching math using workplace-related word problems. B. Presenting abstract formulas without context. C. Requiring memorization of math tables only. D. Prioritizing speed drills over comprehension. 6. When designing a CAAT curriculum, which factor most supports adult learners' need for self-direction? A. Predetermined, rigid weekly schedules. B. Inclusion of individualized study planning sessions. C. Eliminating learner choice in materials. D. Focusing solely on teacher-led instruction. 7. During CAAT test preparation, which communication strategy best reinforces adult learning principles? A. Using technical jargon without explanation. B. Engaging in active listening to learners' concerns. C. Maintaining a one-way flow of information. D. Correcting mistakes publicly without context. 8. Which evaluation method best measures progress toward CAAT writing readiness? A. Counting words written per minute. B. Using a rubric that assesses clarity, grammar, and structure. C. Allowing learners to self-grade with no criteria. D. Limiting evaluation to spelling accuracy. 9. A mentor provides feedback on a learner's CAAT practice test. Which approach is most effective? A. Pointing out only what was wrong. E. Balancing positive reinforcement with targeted suggestions. C. Avoiding feedback to preserve confidence. D. Giving general comments without specifics. 10. Which principle of adult learning is most important when addressing test anxiety in A. Recognizing prior experiences and tailoring strategies. B. Standardizing identical coping mechanisms for all learners. C. Ignoring emotional barriers to focus on content. D. Applying strict discipline to enforce test-taking. 11. In CAAT curriculum development, which method supports knowledge retention most effectively? A. Integrating spaced repetition of concepts. B. Requiring learners to copy notes verbatim. C. Limiting exposure to a single subject daily. D. Avoiding review sessions to save time. 12. Which communication approach is most effective for instructors supporting diverse adult learners preparing for the CAAT? A. Speaking in a single style regardless of learner needs. B. Adapting explanations to learners' varied backgrounds. C. Using only written instructions. D. Minimizing interaction to maintain efficiency. 13. An adult learner preparing for the CAAT demonstrates low motivation. Which mentoring technique best encourages persistence? A. Highlighting how test success links to personal goals. B. Reprimanding for lack of discipline. C. Assigning more practice without discussion. D. Ignoring the learner's expressed concerns. 14. Which evaluation strategy is most consistent with adult learning principles when measuring CAAT readiness? A. Peer assessment with guided criteria. E. Surprise tests with no feedback. C. Isolated grading with no learner input. D. Sole reliance on standardized exams. 15. In a CAAT prep session, an instructor models problem solving and then asks learners to practice with similar items. This demonstrates A. Collaborative inquiry. B. Scaffolding instructional design. C. Independent study only. D. Passive observation. 16. Which aspect of regulatory compliance is most relevant when administering the CAAT? A. Adhering to standardized testing conditions. B. Allowing instructors to alter test timing. C. Ignoring accessibility accommodations. D. Permitting unapproved study aids. 17. In developing CAAT writing curriculum, which method supports skill building through adult learning principles? A. Using authentic prompts related to workplace or life tasks. B. Practicing only artificial textbook examples. C. Limiting practice to spelling drills. D. Focusing exclusively on grammar worksheets. 18. A mentor observes a learner's progress plateau in CAAT math preparation. The most effective mentoring action is A. Providing individualized problem-solving strategies. E. Repeating identical practice sets without variation. C. Reducing practice to avoid frustration. D. Ignoring the issue until the learner self-corrects. 19. In CAAT preparation, how can instructors ensure inclusivity? A. Incorporating culturally relevant examples in practice materials. B. Standardizing all examples to one cultural context. C. Avoiding diverse perspectives in test preparation. D. Limiting accommodations for language learners. 20. Which principle of adult learning best explains why CAAT candidates benefit from diagnostic assessments before instruction begins? A. Adults bring prior knowledge that shapes new learning. B. Adults prefer identical starting points. C. Adults learn best without context. D. Adults resist reflecting on strengths and weaknesses. 21. During CAAT curriculum development, which approach best balances flexibility and structure? A. Creating modular lessons that allow varied pacing. B. Fixing identical timelines for all learners. C. Eliminating learner choice in practice. D. Relying only on lecture-based content. 22. Which communication technique supports confidence building in CAAT learners? A. Using affirming language during feedback. B. Focusing solely on deficiencies. Avoiding dialogue to maintain authority. D. Dismissing learner questions as irrelevant. 23. In evaluating learners' readiness for the CAAT, which method ensures validity? A. Practice tests designed to mimic test format and content. B. Assignments unrelated to CAAT competencies. C. Oral presentations on unrelated topics. D. Ungraded, casual discussions only. 24. Which mentoring technique best supports learners with test anxiety during CAAT preparation? A. Teaching relaxation and focus strategies. B. Increasing testing pressure to build tolerance. C. Ignoring stress to prioritize test content. D. Limiting support to content review only. 25. Which evaluation method most effectively incorporates adult learners' self-assessment in CAAT preparation? A. Reflective checklists aligned with test competencies. B. Surprise evaluations with no learner input. C. Teacher-only assessment without dialogue. D. Passive attendance tracking. 26. In CAAT math preparation, which instructional strategy aligns best with adult learners' problem-solving orientation? A. Using applied scenarios like budgeting or measurements. B. Memorizing isolated equations. C. Practicing repetitive drills only. D. Ignoring real-world applications. 27. An instructor provides immediate specific feedback on a CAAT practice essay. This reflects A. Effective formative assessment practice. B. Avoidance of adult learning strategies. C. Summative-only evaluation. D. One-way instruction without interaction. 28. Which mentoring approach encourages independence in CAAT learners? A. Guiding learners to set and monitor their own progress goals. B. Dictating all study schedules without input. C. Limiting feedback to instructor observations only. D. Focusing only on weaknesses without solutions. 29. Which adult learning principle is emphasized by collaborative study groups in CAT preparation? A. Social learning and peer support. B. Passive note-taking. C. Memorization drills. D. Strict individual isolation.